before the storm, as we're about to get a deluge of earnings reports, but it won't happen until next week. But still, there's quite a few companies reporting this week that you should be paying attention to. And I know this because I looked through the list to see what was happening this week. Yes, we are still getting a lot of the banks. A lot of the big regional banks will start reporting this week, but there's also a handful of other interesting companies that could tell us a lot about what's going on in the economy, and you're going to want to tune in. What are they? Let's dive right in. The first kind of important company to report is J.B. Hunt. You may not know them, but they're one of the large trucking companies. So the transports are really important right now. What are they seeing? Are they still having a driver shortage, which they've had for years? What's happening with wages? What's happening with the cost of transporting goods? That's key too. You can see that JB Hunt has a very good earnings surprise track record over the last 2 years with 8 beats in a row. So that's a good indicator, but the market looks a little bit tentative on the stock here going into 2023. It's not at those early 2022 highs anymore, but it hasn't completely broken down yet either. So what's going to be happening on the transport side other than the airlines? This is one to watch. Then we're going to switch it over to Procter Gamble, one of the big names everybody's been kind of hiding out in. And you can see there in 2022 that they did have finally one rare miss. So they had the perfect earnings surprise track record until 2022, had the miss, but no biggie because they met or beat their last quarter. Shares did get a rebound, and now we're kind of in this wait and see mode. Are they still able to push through further price increases to cover these inflationary pressures? What is happening? Is the consumer trading down yet? So far, they've said no. The consumer is still paying for the higher priced brand names and not going to the generic. But will they over this year? That's always the question that's out there. So a lot of people are going to be watching Procter & Gamble. It's a popular top stock, especially with income investors. So let's see what they're going to say and what's going to happen. Then we're going to switch back over to the industrial side with Fasten. I've talked about them many times. They've got a good earnings surprise track record, just those 2 misses in 2019 and just before the pandemic started there in 2020. And then otherwise, they're back to their winning ways. And these shares surging during the pandemic, but now have pulled back on the recession fears. They did have that low there in October of last year, and it's bounced off that. But can they hold this, or will these shares get a little bit cheaper here? Now, they're not cheap on a PE basis. They're trading fairly expensive still, so that's why I'm on the sidelines. But Fastenal tells us a lot about what's happening with construction and just building in general. So this is one to watch. Then we're going to switch it over with the start of the energy stocks. Let's get that name up there, Schlumberger. Schlumberger, they're on the services side. So this one has been a little bit slower to rebound once crude came off those pandemic lows. But now everybody loves the services and it's starting to take off here. So as the oil companies make more money with the higher oil prices, they start investing, they start drilling more, they start laying more pipelines. Everything starts improving for them. They want to increase capacity. So they contact someone like Schlumberger to help them do it. So that's why you start to see the shares rise. Now, they've got the great earnings surprise track record, no misses. That's very rare, especially for an energy stock, which did get really beaten down. You can see just how badly it was there in 2020. But this is a cycle. I do expect it to regain those 2018 highs and probably go beyond. But it is trading at 19 times right here, but earnings expected to be up 40% in 2023. So it does have the growth. But will it disappoint? What's going to happen here? We will see. And then I am going to wrap it up with one of the banks, but this is one I've talked about in the past, Ally Financial, ALLY is the ticker. It is one of the online banks, a digital bank is what they call themselves. They did have the two misses in a row there in 2022. So it's a little bit iffy about what's going to happen as we come into this earnings report. But Ally last quarter did warn that it's had to put a bigger reserve in place for their auto loans. So they're starting to see a little bit of pressure on the consumer not able to pay those auto loans. Has that increased? And have they seen any increases in consumer distress, so to speak, in any other area outside of autos? That is something to watch. We already know that there's much less mortgage demand, and so the mortgage income is much lower on any of these banks. So it's a little bit tricky time to be in Ally Financial. You can see the big sell-off there. The bleeding has stopped for now, but we will see on this report. So you can see it's quite a big difference in industries that all these 5 companies are in. And that's because we are concerned with what's happening in the economy this year. How much slowing is there? And so we need to take a look at all different various areas, not just technology, to see what are these companies enduring right now? What are they seeing with employment, with wage pressures, with input cost pressures? They saw all that last year. Is it continuing now in 2023, even with the Fed tightening? So these are all the questions that are up in the air this earnings season. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're not even at the peak weeks yet. So you want to be sure to get all of our Earnings All-Stars videos. You can get them all on Zacks.com/YouTube. Sign up for our YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. And I'll see you again next time with some more charts.